Hi guys, I'm Mark from Origin Series, and we provide online training programs for people who need guidance and structure to their workouts, either in the gym or at home. We've developed quite a large team now who are able to offer services for people in specialist areas such as improvements in weightlifting, improvements in gymnastics, improvements in endurance sports such as running, cycling or triathlon, along with just general health and fitness for people who just want to attend the gym to make themselves feel better and look better. You can find us at originseries.com or on Instagram at Origin Training.
Welcome to Real Coaching Radio, the podcast for coaches by coaches. We are here to teach you how to get the most out of your clients and yourself. This is where beauty meets the beast, brains meet brawn, and science meets, well, bro science. Welcome to Real Coaching Radio. Hi gang, my name's Charlie and I am one of the co-hosts. Today, me and Mark, we discuss how to set yourself goals for the new year ahead. How do you make sure that these goals are attainable? How do you not get lost like many of us do when it comes to the time to set goals and basically like set our kind of focus and precedence for the year? This episode is going to go through all of like the tips and advice that we would do when setting goals for clients, so you can like take this on board when setting goals for yourself or for clients. But without any further ado, let's begin the episode. Right, how was your Christmas?
Christmas was good actually. Christmas was the first time in about 6 years maybe that I've actually taken time off and like gone through more than a 24-hour period of not looking at my laptop.
How did you find it?
Yeah, it's actually been really good.
Yeah,
Definitely needed it. Yeah.
I had times in the period where I was working and stuff like that, and like work Christmas Eve and then Christmas Day and Boxing Day, like I had off. But like the New Year's for me, when I just completely like shut off for like 2 or 3 days.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about it, and it was like this is nice. This is why like I think for me is that I've set my hours of 6 a.m. till 6 p.m. And then on a Saturday I work up until midday, and then on a Sunday night I might look at it just to make sure what I got to do tomorrow. But like I'm trying to just get everything I need to get done and not keep pushing it to the weekends.
Yeah, I said to myself after that, like this year I'm gonna actively try and like spend more time like just not doing work.
Yeah, you just like don't need to. But it feels like you need to because there's always something to do, but it's just.
But there's always going to be something to do. So we get on a family holiday in May. Oh, I'm not sure I'm going to commit to this, but I might not take my laptop.
We heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. Mark's not going to take his laptop away. We
said this the other. Where did I go? And I said I was going to turn my phone off, and then like I got there and I was messaging you.
Yeah.
And just were like, well, that went well. I can't remember where it was, but it was somewhere.
Christmas is a great time, to be honest. I think like it does give everyone that chance to reset, and it's like because the whole world shuts down pretty much. I had clients like. I had one client message me and be like, I've got no programming. And I was like, we spoke the other day and you told me you weren't going to train. Like, that's where you've got, okay, I'll do your programming. And it's like, but for most people, it's just like, I'm not doing anything.
Yeah.
And like, I'm going to kind of eat my body weight worth of food. So we thought we'd kind of try to see if we can address the best place and where to start from if you've kind of enjoyed your Christmas period, maybe slightly over enjoyed your Christmas period. I did. I put on 2 kg in the space of like
good effort.
8 days.
Well, I like for the best part of. When did I go to New York? I went to New York like 21st of November.
New York.
So the week before that, I didn't train because of my back. So basically, from like November, my training has been. You may as well just say I haven't trained.
You haven't trained since November. Jesus.
But basically, I mean, I have, but basically haven't.
What do you think you do? Sorry, what do you think you do if you took a month off?
Well, I fucking pretty much have.
No, but like fully, just like I'm not training. I'm not training. I'm not worried about my diet.
I don't know, mate. I don't know.
I reckon this whole reason I started training, I'd be a right massive if I did.
Yeah, probably the same. I don't know. I don't even want to think about it.
But yeah, if you feel like you have kind of overindulged a little bit over Christmas, that's a good thing, can I just say, especially if you are someone who's extremely strict. And if you are someone who like hasn't really trained kind of running up to Christmas, maybe you haven't even trained or stepped foot in a gym, how do you start your journey? And I guess, where do we start from? And I think I'm going to let Mark tell you where the best place to start from is, because a lot of us start our fitness journeys because something emotional makes us do it. And that's not necessarily always the best place to start from.
No. The best place to start is like, let's just be rational.
Yeah.
About what we're doing. I would guess that most. So, it's New Year, isn't it? Right. New Year's resolutions. We all love a New Year's resolution, although I hate them.
New year, new me.
Yeah, that's it. And it's dangerous. It's dangerous because it creates this, and I think a lot of people go through it, and there are sometimes there are, to some extent, I go through it in terms of, right, it's a new year, it's a fresh opportunity, but that is potentially a good way to see it because it can provide you with some motivation. But then there's this dangerous area where I think one of the biggest downfalls people have is when they set their goals. And let's take New Year's as an example, because I think that's when people probably set most of their goals, or some big goals for the year, if you like. They're setting them in a place where they're really motivated. They're just like, oh, I'm going to do this year. They feel really determined. And which is great. I don't want to take the wind out of their sails with that. But they get to like the 23rd of January and they're back to work. Their kids are back to school, and their kids are back to after school clubs. Like, their life is just back to utter chaos, and it's just like, oh well, I can't stick to what I said I was going to do.
That's the funny thing. It's like you're trying to get someone who may not want to necessarily go to the gym, but they know they need to. So they've got in their mind, their friends are telling them or whatever, I know I need to go to the gym. So they either set a crazy goal of I'm going to go every day, or I'm going to go every weekday. I'm going to get up at 5 a.m. and I'm going to go. And it's crazy because people who love training won't even do some of the things that people who don't even really enjoy training set themselves as resolutions. Like, if you turned around to me and went, you've got to go and train at 5 a.m. every morning, 6 days a week, I'd probably go, can maybe do 3. And that's just realistically like what I can actually do. Yeah. And I think and I really enjoy training. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So when someone comes from this brand new starting place and they're like, right, I've got these massive goals I want to achieve. Yeah. It's like, all right, how do you not take the wind out of themselves? If someone's listening right now and they go, I've got this massive goal that I want to achieve this year, like, what questions do I ask myself so I know I'm starting in the right place?
Yeah. I think you just need to, and there might be an element of, taking some of the wind out of their sails, but without massively knocking their confidence and what they can achieve. But just by having honest conversations either with somebody or honest conversations with yourself to, and let's look at this a little bit more rationally and go, okay, well, I've actually got these things going on this year. I've got this stressor. I've got this to do at work. We've got these family events. We've got X, Y, and Z. Just like, okay, well, they're important things that need to be. They're real things. So taking all of that into consideration, what can we now actually achieve?
Yeah.
Because you can still achieve really good stuff. Like, you know, and probably better stuff, because people, you know, we all know that the only way that you are realistically going to achieve anything, even unrelated to fitness, achieve anything, is through hard work, time, dedication, and consistency, and some form of investment, whether that investment be time or whether that investment be some form of money. So actually going, you know, maybe stripping it right back to just being like, all right, so as an example, I set myself a target because I know it makes me feel better. And it's literally as simple as, so I got a 2-litre bottle of water and I put it in the fridge the night before I go to bed. I know there's going to be somebody out there that goes, "Ooh, room temperature water is better for you." I prefer cold.
I like cold water.
So I'm going to drink cold water.
Room temperature water.
But anyway, and the next day, like, I'm usually up somewhere between 5 and 6. I make sure that I've consumed those 2 litres of water before 8 a.m. And that's it.
And the funny thing on stuff like that is just, it seems like a real easy thing to do, but like, I mean, you've got to be present enough to do it. And I think that's why a lot of people really struggle with health and fitness goals. They struggle to be present. They struggle to like actually think about the choices they make on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, but I think they try and make decisions which are way too big for them.
Yeah.
So again, another example, like, I've got a really sweet tooth.
I would agree with you. I have one as well.
And a lot of my family know that I've got a really sweet tooth. So at Christmas, everyone buys me chocolate.
Boatloads.
Yeah, loads of it. So, you know, but I could have quite easily gone, right, January the 1st, not eating chocolate.
Right. Yeah.
And I've got like 17 tins of roses sat in the corner.
Is it L? I'm having
I've just been like, you know, I get to January the 3rd and I'll be like, well, that was a stupid goal.
Yeah, they're literally talking at me.
Yeah. So like, you know, I've had chocolate every day this year. But
Right.
but one of my aims for this year is to get into better shape, because I've just had I've had back pain for over a year, and I'm finally at a point where my back actually isn't hurting at the minute through treatment that I've had. But more significantly than that, since probably the beginning of November, I haven't trained properly at all. So, you know, my strength has decreased, my fitness has decreased, my body composition has changed slightly. I'm a little bit heavier than what I normally am. So one of my goals is to get into better shape, but I haven't gone, oh, well, there's 55 kilos of chocolate, I'm not going to touch that.
Hi guys, I'm Charlie from Hack the Body, Hack the Mind. I am one of the co-hosts, and if you are looking for help with your programming but don't feel like online coaching is for you, I've created Buildings. Now, Buildings is a selection of program designed to help you achieve any goal with exercise tutorials and workout tracking all at your fingertips. So if you feel like you just need help with some programs and you just want some structure but don't feel like online coaching is for you, then please head to www.hackthebodyhackthemind.com for more information. Thank you so much and enjoy the rest of this episode. So, the past year, do you feel like it's been one of the worst training for you ever?
100%.
Right.
The worst year of training in my whole entire life.
How long have you trained for?
What, like, for my life?
Yeah.
Since I was like 16.
And you're 35, you told me that earlier, so I remembered it this time.
I'm 35.
So that's 19 years?
Yeah.
Right. So quick maths. So 19 years you trained for, and you've had a year of really inconsistent training, and probably, or at least training which could have been more consistent. So, and your body composition still not that bad compared to the majority of of the world, right? Your body composition for you may not be where where you want it to be, but if you compared yourself to the average Joe, it would be in the 1%.
Maybe not 1%. But...
Do you not reckon?
Are we talking like the world? Yeah, but the world includes like professional athletes, no?
All right. 5%.
All right, yeah, let's go with that.
Yeah, top 5%.
Probably.
Because, or just say people who step in a gym.
Yeah.
Or people who you see on the beach.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like if you, for example, if you walked on a beach now, you would be in the 1%.
I went to Dubai and
Yeah, but Dubai is full of like.
It's full of also. Yeah, but like.
Also rich men.
Yeah, but that's also my point. Like, I went to Dubai and like. I didn't really see that many people in good shape, to be honest with you.
That's right. So this is my point, is that if you are someone who wants to get into good shape and you're thinking like, oh, I've got to be extremely consistent, extremely this, extremely that. Like, what's happened for Mark is he's trained for 19 years, which allows him within those times, when he's had a year of inconsistent training, but still training, like, he's in a really, really good place still. And that's the thing where I think most people get confused about when they set their goals, is the actual timeline of it. And the timeline, they think everything will happen way quicker than it does, and they think everything will be easier than it actually is. Like, they don't actually take into consideration, how long is this going to take me, and what have I got to do it, and what is the biggest thing. Now, I think if you are going to set your goals, just be whatever time frame you think it's going to happen in, probably double it, because things take a long time. Life happens. I literally set myself, before this Monday started, a schedule, so what I do each and every day, and by 4:00 on Monday, I'd already not done what I wanted to do. Right? And we had the conversation, right? And we were like, I was like, it's going really well at midday.
Yeah, how's your year going? Yeah, great. It's 10 o'clock on Monday.
10 o'clock Monday. I've achieved everything I need to do. And then last night, I was up till 9 p.m. because I didn't do anything I needed to do. My point is that life happens, things get in the way, and we're not doing this in a vacuum. So set your expectations and don't set them way too high. You could have a really big goal, but try and understand that the best thing is to try and get you to that goal. So what's going to stop you and what's going to help you? And then those are the goals we focus on. We don't actually focus on this big thing. We focus on Mark, for example, wanting to get into better shape, him drinking 2 liters of water before 8 o'clock. That will definitely help that, because it means that he's conscious of things and he's not putting other things into his body which may not be helping that. Like, little changes will be the biggest thing, and the consistency that goes into it will be the thing. So that's like almost, for me, is the first goal for a lot of people. So whatever your goal is, you want to kind of bring your expectations back down and be consistent with whatever that is. So if you say, I want to start going to the gym, and that is 5 days a week, let's take it to 2. You could still go 5 days in a week, but let's put your goal as, I'm going to go 2, and no matter what I'm not going to miss those. Mm-hmm. Because if you set your goal as 5, and in that first week you hit 5, second week you could only make 3, one, you're going to feel rubbish because you've not hit your goal of 5, and then the next week you're going to go, well, I didn't do it. Goal's over January.
That's the thing, isn't it? It's like it's setting yourself up for success.
Yeah.
So making things easier for yourself, small daily habits that are going to multiply and compound over time.
Yeah. So this rational place, like, again, it is just asking yourself those questions, isn't it? It's just like, where am I currently at? What is my goal? And is it achievable with the lifestyle I lead?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest questions people need to, one of the things that I like to try and do with goals with clients is kind of, well, let's try and find anything possible that could throw you off track here. And if we can find an answer to that, then do we need to adjust the goal, or is this thing that's going to throw you off track like a zombie apocalypse, so like unlikely to happen?
Yeah.
But if it's kind of like, take the example of, right, I'm going to go to the gym 5 times a week, and then we start having conversations and just like, oh, but I might finish work late on this day, my kids do this on this day. Just like, well, straight away, you're already giving me things that are really likely to come up. And the reality is, your job and your kids are both probably more important than your exercise, because your kids should definitely be more important than your exercise, and your job helps you pay the bills. So
Can't do anything without either, really.
you know,
I do think though that like if you are sat at home thinking what should my goals be, I think again I've said it loads of times, but asking yourself why you want to achieve those goals. Then again, it doesn't matter if it is just a superficial reason, like you just want to look better, like that is an acceptable goal. But it is just taking into consideration, like, is my inspiration for doing this someone I follow on Instagram? Is it a bodybuilder that is their literal job in their life, so they can eat, sleep, and breathe it? Because if that is your inspiration, like, and you're going to get yourself disheartened when you can't do all the things they are doing, and that's the kind of the thing we're always trying to balance, is like our life and our goals. And all I can say is working backwards and giving yourself like really easy targets would be like the best thing you could do. For me, I'm like, I want to read 12 books this year. So I literally schedule in my day times that I read, and I read every night before I go to bed. And I make that like a commitment to do that. I have a reminder which goes off in the morning to read if I forgot. And I make sure that if that doesn't happen, I fit it in somewhere else. And you could turn that, my reading goal, as into your training goal. So if you want to get fitter or you want to live healthier, then you just say to yourself, well, I'm going to go 2 times a week. And if I miss that one, well, I just make sure I fit it in somewhere else.
Yeah. But it's exactly that. It's about breaking it down into something that's achievable. So take your goal of reading 12 books a year. You know, depends on what the books are, I guess. But like that might equate to, you need to read 8 pages a day.
Yeah.
Which, when you look at it like that, it's just like, well, you know, I can do that in.
You know, why can't I do that?
Yeah, I can do that in 20 minutes, half an hour every night.
Yeah.
Like, easy.
And that's I think that's why, like, when you are staring up at a goal which is extremely difficult, how do I achieve that? Like, that's the hard bit, right?
Yeah, that's the problem, isn't it? People look at this like this big goal. Like, I was speaking to, I was chatting to Jasper earlier, and he was saying about, you know, he wants to hit like 110 kilo snatch by the end of 2022. And I think he said that something like it's a 25 kilo increase on where he's currently at. And it was just like, well, all right, it's 2 kilos a month, isn't it?
Yeah. Makes life easier when you set when you take away that big kind of daunting thing, and then you can plan it. Like, this is why, like,
exactly.
That's why I think, like, for me, scheduling stuff and planning stuff is the best thing, because I'm like, well, I can actually plan now how I'm going to do that. And if I just said I'm going to read 12 books and then did nothing about it, didn't plan to when I was going to read, didn't make, and that's, I guess, where the next thing people fall down is, one, they set their expectations too high because they don't take into consideration all the aspects of their life. But actually having a plan on how you are going to achieve those goals, that's the next bit.
Yeah, and also potentially having a plan on what are you going to do if you do slip off the mark.
Yeah.
So a lot of times with some of my clients, depending on the client, I will set them some homework, and that task will be, right, you're going to make a list of everything that could possibly go wrong in your day that is going to have an impact on your goals, you achieving your goals. And then in the next column, you're going to write down, right, if this thing happens, what am I going to do? So as an example, we might have said, right, we're going to do a bit of meal prep. So you're going to take lunch to work with you. All right, so in the column on the left-hand side, just like, well, I've left my lunch at home. All right, so before you've even left your lunch at home, write down next to it, what are you going to do if you leave your lunch at home? Well, round the corner is a Marks and Spencer's food hall. I'm going to go and I'm going to buy this, I'm going to buy this, I'm going to buy this. And literally list the foods that you're going to buy. Yeah. Because otherwise, you'll drive to work.
Be hungry as well.
And be like, you'll drive to work, you'll realise you've left your food at home, you'll be really annoyed with yourself because you've left your food at home and go, oh, what the hell am I going to eat, blah, blah, blah. You'll have an idea, just be like, oh, I just might not eat, and then I can eat it when I get home.
Yeah.
And then you get to lunchtime, and you're just like, I need food to make it for the rest of the day. You won't go to Marks and Spencer's around the corner. You'll go to Greg's, which is like closer than Marks and Spencer's. And before you know it, like you get home that evening, you're just like, oh, why the hell did I do that? It's Monday, I've already ruined it, blah, 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 blah. If you've already got an answer to what can go wrong, like, it's a much more rational.
But it is that. It's making those decisions in those rational mindset.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why, like, an emotionally driven kind of thing falls off really quickly because you haven't thought it through properly, and you haven't actually asked yourself, but what if this doesn't work, or what are the reasons why this isn't going to work?
Yeah.
And you can address them then. Like, I was chatting to Joe, he's got like his first trampoline competition or whatever, an important one coming up, and he's like, I want to win it, and it's like his first one. And Jasper was saying, you're probably better off not going in to try and win it because you're going to feel like rubbish if you don't. And I just said, like, what do you think is going to stop you? And he was like, well, I get quite nervous. I'm like, okay, so make your goal going into that competition, right, I'm going to find ways to deal with some stress management. I'm going to find ways to deal with my nerves and control that, because I know I can do trampolining, and I know if my routine's good enough, then I will achieve that.
Yeah.
And and the only one of the main things that's going to stop me from winning, which is my bigger goal, is if I freak out and I can't do it.
Yeah.
It's like, well, put yourself in the best position possible to be able to still achieve that goal by answering these questions.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is that's like, a type of goal setting in terms of the outcome is I want to win.
Yeah.
So, I want to win is more like an outcome-based goal, whereas we're going to put some stress management in place is a process that's going to help him achieve this outcome. So then actually, like, do we focus on the process rather than the outcome? But then also before the process, we could also look at like the person's identity of just like, well, what do I identify myself as? So, if Joe changes the way he sees himself as being like this calm person, this person who responds in a particular way to stress, and almost, because by the sounds of it, he's already thinking of himself as quite a nervous person going into these environments. So if he goes into those environments by already identifying himself as being, more mellow, more chilled, but also like engaged and switched on, and still follows the process, like, is the outcome going to happen?
But that's the whole thing of like visualizing what you want to achieve, is like you can really, I think that's something that's difficult, is like you say, people just have this idea of who they are, and they very much are afraid to be anything else. So like if I've lived my life as being someone who smokes every single day or drinks every night when I come home, like, that's the norm for me, and that feels comfortable, like I know that. Whereas when I start to set these goals which take me out of my comfort zone, that's why it can be really difficult. And like, I guess you need to almost desensitize that feeling of coming out of your comfort zone. And I don't necessarily know how you do that, but like just trying to find a way where when I am doing something which I would not necessarily do or is scary to me, this is what I do to remind myself, or like this is how I get through it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I suppose like when I think back to changing my job, it was out of my comfort zone, and it was something for me which it has to happen, which is probably the reason why having a strong why is so important.
Yep.
Because then it's so much easier for me to go, when I'm having times where I'm like, I speak to you and I'm just like, I can't do it anymore, or I'm done, or I speak to my partner, I'm just like, this is so difficult trying to run your own business, and it's like, okay, but like, why am I doing it? And then it brings you back to home base a little bit. I also think not only just the why, but being very grateful and gratitude to where you're currently at and how far you've come along this journey once you've created this goal, just by agreeing to do a goal is already a really good step and a big step in the right direction, because you're not blind to it and you're not ignoring it. If there's an issue or there's something you want to achieve, if you just ignore it, it's definitely not going to happen. But at least if you're trying, you are well on your way to something good happening.
Yeah. I know, and on that basis of gratitude, I think people probably need to practice like delayed gratification a little bit more, in terms of, you know, we're in a world and in a society where, like, you know, people want things instantly, and I think especially when it comes to like fitness and success in fitness, and you know, whatever that might look like to somebody, is kind of, you're not going to get there without you can't buy your way to better shape.
Yeah.
You know, I was having a conversation with Jack when we were in Dubai, and we were talking about, you know, technology being really, really big in the fitness industry now, and technology getting bigger in the fitness industry. And we're both just like, but, you know, all these apps, all these watches, all these straps, all these gadgets that you can buy are not going to get on the treadmill for you.
Yeah.
They're not going to pick the weights up for you.
Yeah.
They're not going to not eat the cake for you. Like, you're going to have to put in that work. You're going to have to put in the time. You're going to have to put in the effort. So, you know, like, practicing delayed gratification rather than just, like, you know, wanting things instantly and having things instantly, I think is something that people probably need to get better at as well.
I think support system as well.
Yeah, massively.
You need
like,
a support system, whether that is a coach or whether that is just friends and family, but something around you so you can confide in people when you're struggling to achieve that goal.
Yeah, hugely. I mean, that goes back to just when we were talking about, like, you know, people, like, what do they identify themselves as? Because kind of like, you know, let's take somebody, you mentioned like smoking as an example. Like, let's take somebody who is trying to quit smoking and, you know, tries to identify themselves as a non-smoker. If you've got the wrong support network, you know, if you tell your friends and your family that you're like trying to identify yourself as a non-smoker, and they're just like, what you want about? You've been smoking for 20 odd years. Like,
yeah.
You know, that's not a supportive mechanism. That's not a supportive family or set of friends. You know, yeah, so having the right support network around you is hugely important.
Like, can you think of anything else when it comes to your goals? I think just like being rational around it.
Yeah.
Kind of taking the first step to commit to it is obviously, and being consistent with that. Like we just said, their support system is like really important.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think, like, if we were to like just look at the big rocks, if you like, I think definitely get yourself a good support system, and that might be, you know, you need to start going to, if we keep this with health and fitness, that might be you need to start going to fitness classes where people are potentially trying to achieve the same thing as you. So you're in that environment and you start to meet people and, you know, make friends there, and they become your support network depending on what your friends and family are like. So definitely have a support system, and definitely like try and break things down a little bit. So don't look at this like, I want to achieve this by December 2022. Well, why don't we look at, well, what are you going to achieve by July?
Yeah.
What are you going to achieve by June? Okay, so what are you going to achieve by April? All right, so what are we going to achieve by the end of January? All right, so what are you going to achieve by the end of the first week of January? And what are you going to achieve on a daily basis? So really, really breaking that down into, if I do this small little thing every single day, which is really easy for me to do, then, you know, that's going to compound over time. And by the time I get to December, I'm going to be in this situation. Because if you haven't done that, I can guarantee you're going to get to September and still be like where you were here. And like, September to December isn't that long. And you're probably not going to achieve your goal. So I think really breaking it down into daily tasks that you can achieve is without a doubt the best place to start.
Yeah. I think I can't really add to that, to be honest with you. I think that is everything you just need to think about. Is just like, you can go through obviously this podcast and make notes about everything, but I think that kind of sums up your best approach coming after Christmas. And if you're not feeling too, or you're feeling motivated, or maybe you're just feeling a little bit lost, I think that gives you everything you ever need. Amazing. Well, team, thank you so much for listening to that episode. Hopefully you got something beneficial out of it. I guess it will be one that people will probably listen back to kind of, what did he say then? It's good to always kind of refer to. I've done a thing a couple of times now where I listen to a podcast, and after I listen to it, if it's one of these podcasts where I'm going to get information from, I kind of give myself an action list afterwards. So once I've listened to it, I go, right, now what am I going to kind of act on? What am I going to change? What am I going to improve after listening to that podcast? It's all well and good kind of listening and hopefully some things stick, but it's always good to kind of actively listen and have a goal like once you finished it. But thank you for sticking with us, and if you do want to get in contact, you can email us info@realcoachingradio.co.uk, and you can connect to us on Instagram, Real Coaching Radio. Mark is at Mark Origin Series, and I'm at Hack the Body, Hack the Mind. Just get in touch and ask any questions you want to. But thank you so much, and we will see you on the next one. Hi guys, so I thought I'd let you know that if you are thinking of getting a workout program and Buildings is the direction you are going to go, then just for being one of the podcast listeners, I am giving you a 20% discount off of Buildings. So if you type in RCR20, that's Romeo Charlie Romeo 20, in the checkout, then you will get a discount of 20% off of all of the programs and all of the different buildings there.